Hello, my name is Joseph Keller. I'm here with the technology to teach you about my how to incorporate technology into my lesson plan. I'm here with their Early Abolitionist Pixton project for 8th grade social studies, going over Frederick Douglass, John Brown, and Harriet Tubman. Our lesson objective is to, at the end of this project, students will be able to understand how early abolitionists fought against slavery, and to be able to analyze primary and secondary source materials and develop proficiency in using digital media through Pixton. And the lesson content standards that this specific project addresses for California Social Studies standards is 8.91. Students analyze the early and steady attempts to abolish slavery and to realize the ideals of the Declaration of Independence. Describe the leaders of the movement: John Quincy Adams, John Brown, Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad, as well as Benjamin Franklin, Theodore Weld, William Lloyd Garrison, and Frederick Douglass, but we will be focusing on John Brown, Frederick Douglass, and Harriet Tubman. And the California ISTE standards that will be addressed in this project are customized learning environments, explore real-world issues, and choose platforms or tools. So yeah, the next part of the project will be to go over how to do this project on Pixton. Alright, so for the next part of the project, I have here the example, the completed example of what this project in Pixton would look like, using three early abolitionist leaders, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, and John Brown. And here in the Frederick Douglass example, we have the actual quote from one of his most famous speeches, "What is a Slave?" to 4th of July, where he actually invokes the Declaration of Independence, and it gives a brief analysis and brief description of how the leader fought against slavery and how their fight for against slavery relates to the Declaration of Independence in about a paragraph or so. And so that will be a requirement for the Pixton comic. And I'll show basically for the student how to do that in Pixton. And so we can create a new project, and the one that I used Storyboard to add the description in the text there about, let's say, for example, Harriet Tubman. Well, I'll just write like a sentence to keep it brief. But Harriet Tubman helped organize the Underground Railroad. There we go. So we have a brief description that we need to add there, and to add to the scene, we can add, let's just put swamp, because that was the geography that they would have been transversing at the time, to go up to the north. And then to add a character, we can actually look at different, there is a lot of historical figures in Pixton. It's really cool. Harriet Tubman, boom. And then there on the Pixton, we have her in the scene. And then we can make her, for the Pixton, let's see. If we click on Harriet Tubman there, we can have her do different actions, have different facial expressions. We can even change which ways the eyes are looking for the scene. A lot of different actions, and so then we can even add text for the scene. And so there's a lot of creative opportunities for the students to show for these Pixtons, these historical pixtons. So yeah, that is the part of the scene. The comic needs to show how these early abolitionist leaders fought against slavery, and in a paragraph talk about that and talk about how it relates to the Declaration of Independence. So the final part of the lesson to test for understanding for this is students will have to go over an exit ticket to go over the understanding. It's just 2 paragraphs, 3 to 5 sentences, and the first question is: do you think early abolitionists upheld ideals of the Declaration of Independence? Explain your position without at least one quote from the Declaration of Independence for students to use as an example of students using primary sources in order to back their claim. And then the ones related to today's time, and one of the most important parts about learning and understanding history is how these stories relate to today's time. Is what do you think early abolitionists would say about today's time? Have their goals for equality for all people been met in the 21st century United States? Or would they say that the struggle to fight for freedom that we see in the Declaration of Independence, would that fight still continue today? And use primary sources and your knowledge of early abolitionists to back your claim. And so that is the final part of the lesson. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and here's the link to my sources for the materials and that I went over. And yeah,